everyone, this is Zachary.
And I'm Garrett. We are the two principal consultants at EOS Experiential Consulting.
And our goal is to help you improve your experiential programming. And today, as we kind of get into this time of the year when people are looking for new opportunities over the summer, especially as that school year ends, I thought it'd be fun to talk about the value of an internship to the individual and to the institution when it kind of comes to the experiential industry. Sound fun?
Yep. Oh my God. I'm super excited to talk about this one because I think a lot of my internship really defined what I want to do, what I want to be. And it really changed a lot of what I do and say for the better. I think that's crazy. Not only is it, valuable to, to your future, but just to you as a person, it can be such a big deal.
Right. It's definitely that sort of launching point, right, for your career.
It was, yeah.
And figuring out where you want to go. I think what's so interesting, right, is when you're going into school, whether it's high school, college, any other sort of opportunity, you kind of have this plan, right? This 5-year plan, right? I'm going to head this direction. And then I think so often people find that internships take that plan and they just pivot it, right? 45 degrees in a different direction. And it changes that trajectory, which is a very valuable lesson for people in general.
Well, what you just said hits me right on the head. I mean, right on the head. I adored my 2 internships. Of course, all internships are going to have ups and downs. Sure. But in the end, I really turned it into something that I wanted it to be. I loved my first one so much that I immediately did a second one,
Yep.
Did you find that? You say most people. That absolutely happened to me. How did it happen to you?
Oh, absolutely. So I went into like my freshman year at Ohio State thinking I just wanted to travel. I wanted to go into aviation. I wanted to do this. And then animals was always sort of on the background. And then, of course, I got there and I got the opportunity. My first internship was at the Columbus Zoo. So I got to work with the Australia-based animals there. It was sort of in like an animal care role. And that totally opened my eyes up to, how I could affect animals and how I could travel in different ways, right? It was a 180 for me, like where I wanted to go. And I think that's what I see a lot here in the experiential industry is people finding that different niche to kind of get maybe to a similar target, just a little bit off the page that they thought they were going to head to.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting that you say travel because that's something that pops up in our current role, right? We're being able to travel to these different institutions. You've literally taken, one facet of what you wanted, the initial goal, and then what that internship is. And like you said, pointed it where you really wanted it to go. I think that's awesome. I think that's so much common ground. But if you personally could do your internship again, what are you looking for? What would you say, this is the big thing that I would have done different?
Right. And I think I'll preface that by saying I learned so many valuable skills for my professional work from my internships, right? I had one at the Columbus Zoo, one at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and they were both really impactful on where I wanted to go. But I think really leaning into those real job applicable skills is something that really should be at the heart of every internship, right? You learn so much in the classroom, but that on-site opportunity is so crucial. And I think if I could go back, I would lean more into those skills, take more opportunities to rely on my mentors, because every internship, right, has a mentorship component, and really taking those and absorbing as much information as you can from that person that you're kind of slotted beside would be probably the number one bit of advice I'd give myself.
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic bit of advice. It's those people, and maybe not even just your mentor, but so many individuals you're going to work with. Of course, you're going to have that one person that you keep going back to, but every single person at my internship had something different to teach me, right? For one way or the other. Sure. I think if I did anything different at all, it would have been to keep the energy, right? So I did both of my internships in college. I don't know if both of yours were in your college term, but I after my second internship, I had to go back to college. I had to gear myself back towards what my actual major was.
Right.
And I really, if I could give myself something, I would have told myself, yes, get your degree, of course, finish, but really look into the industry. Think about where those internships are about to pull you and go. Just launch yourself into that direction.
Yeah. I think you bring up a fair point there. What I often see in the education world, right, the conservation education world, is that you'll see a lot of internship opportunities not taken until your junior, senior year, post grad, right? Really leaning into them your freshman, sophomore year can help you divert. If you're a high school senior right now or a freshman in college, you may be debating on a couple of even potentially major opportunities, right? Do I want to go down this major track or this one, right? And those internships can help you discover, hey, this is something I'm really passionate about. This is a degree I want to pursue. Could go back and assign those courses to your next slate, right? Or even more importantly, it can go, hey, this is not for me, right? This is not the industry I want. If you're, for example, wanting to go into animal care and you get out there and you see, oh, this is a lot more labor intensive than I wanted, right? If you're an accountant, if you're an engineer and you get there in the field and the real world doesn't still excite you, then maybe it's a good opportunity for you to reflect and kind of pivot, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think to kind of complement or add on to what you just said, I think that there's never like a too young type of thing to start trying these, because maybe you can't have an internship until you're 18, until you're so on, right? But maybe you can get in as a volunteer. Plenty of museums take volunteers. I know our local zoo takes volunteers all the way from 14 years old and up. Of course, responsibilities are different, but getting to be in that environment could really show you what this future might hold for you.
Sure.
Being around those other individuals is such an important thing.
Right.
After my internship, I was screaming high, please, we need more people to volunteer. Every time, every time people would ask me like, oh, you did your internship at the zoo? Yes, we did. Oh, do you have volunteer opportunities? They would immediately go straight to, how can I do something like what you just did?
Right. It's so true, right? Building that resume starts in high school, starts in middle school, right? So those volunteer opportunities are sort of the building block for your internship opportunity, which is the building block for your career opportunities, right? So you can really leverage those experiences and put yourself multiple steps ahead, multiple years ahead of people that are 4 or 5 years your senior, just by having those real world applications, right? Those real world experiences can be so good. So I definitely encourage people to volunteer when they're still in high school, right? It's much easier to volunteer when you're living in mom and dad's home than when you're living, paycheck to paycheck, right? On your own first apartment. So definitely an opportunity to find those volunteer opportunities in high school and translate those into internship opportunities in college.
Yeah, absolutely. And, but that pivots me again into another really broad spectrum, something that we're seeing a lot of right now, a big question is, and this can relate back to what I just asked you, if your internship was unpaid, which I think both of ours was, would you do it again? As of right now, in that situation, would you still take it?
Right. I was blessed with the opportunity in school to have that ability to be able to take unpaid internships. So I would absolutely go back and accept them if I could.
And I completely
everybody
agree.
has that opportunity, right?
Right. We were lucky. And that's what it comes down to. We were in situations where I completely agree. I would still take that moment because I wasn't well off in college, right? We were still college students, but what I learned there was so much more. And I can remember thinking like, oh my God, they want this much time for nothing.
Sure.
But just the experience, not of, yes, the experience of what it added to my resume, of course, right? Because that's massive in its own right. Yeah. But what it added to me is so much more valuable personally,
right?
Just because it showed me so much of what I am today versus what I wasn't, a few years ago.
gives you loads of opportunity to reflect on who you are and what you really want, right? And then at the end of the day, a super valuable part of it is the networking opportunities, right? So
Yeah.
networking as an intern is so critical, right? You don't just want to show up and just do the job every day, right? You want to fully complete the job and excel and exceed in the job, right? So making those relationships and how you fit into the team is so important, right? Just being a sponge as an intern is so important. But really connecting with everybody else around you is a pretty vital opportunity. So I guess kind of just to wrap things up here, right? As we think about, opportunities for people coming up this summer, people are probably just starting to apply for internships now and figuring out what they want to do this summer. Pursuing internships within your field is obviously really important, right? We've both hired many an intern at different institutions along the way. What's the number one thing that you look for when their application's first coming across the desk, right? Because that first resume application is so important. So what's something that pops out at you when you're first looking to bring somebody on for like a new internship?
Yeah, well, I've actually hired or onboarded many different kind of roles.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I want to look for anytime is, well, one, what am I hiring for? What is this intern going to do?
Right.
And I'm not really necessarily looking for something like, okay, I'm in a zoo setting, so this person needs to be biology, right? Never, never. I want to know who you are and what you're trying to gain from this.
Right.
And if I think that these two bridges can align, then absolutely I'm willing to take the jump on that intern. For media roles, maybe this person isn't actually going to college to be, media. Maybe they're going to college to be an engineer, but they really have this creative side to them that they want to explore.
Mm-hmm.
If they can show me, here I have past experience doing this and that, even though I'm going into something that has nothing to do with this,
right.
I'm willing to allow them to explore that because I've seen what they can do. Sure. And I want to allow them the opportunity, like what we had, to see if something really opens up to them.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think so often people think it's just that they need to have the knowledge, they need to have those fundamental skills, right? And sure, you got to have those base fundamental opportunities, right? You've got to have that skill set. But for the most part, it's not so much hiring the top students with the highest GPAs or the people that have the most experience already that make a successful candidate. It's the ones that are going to fit into your team dynamic, right? The ones that have the drive and the pursuit. And there's no better way to show that than through your cover letter, right? So your resume, super important, right? You got to have the details and check any of those boxes that are needed. But having a well-constructed and really important here, a targeted cover letter for the role that you're applying for. Anybody can tell when something's just copied and pasted, right? When it's generalized for any opportunity that you're applying for, make it applicable to the institution and the role that you're applying for, right? Use that cover letter to show your personality and to show why you as a person fit this role the best, right? Not just so much those X's and O's on the backside of the resume.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to wrap that around, it sounds kind of tacky, but I'm looking for someone who wants to be themselves. Sure. Please show me who you are, and that will help you get into the door. Hell, the first internship I had, the only qualification that I had that could even apply was the fact that I liked to talk to people. Right. And it absolutely accelerated from there.
It does. It's wonderful, man. It's really exciting. And, wishing luck to all those internship applicants this summer as they kind of roll around. Hope this advice helps. Hope you guys can find something that applies to your industry outside of the experiential industry. But those internship opportunities, they really are those stepping stones to the career that you're looking for. Thanks for the chat today, Garrett.
Oh, yeah, man, Zach. Thank you. Again, I just want to give my little bit too. Please, if you can do it, if you can swing it, if you're in a situation that can allow you to take an internship, I think you should. I think you should give yourself that opportunity. Of course, never take something that you don't feel comfortable with, but really give yourself the chance to thrive into something you're curious about. It can make a world of difference. Awesome. Thank you. Guys, thanks for joining Zach and I today. We absolutely love having these conversations with you guys. If you loved it, please hit that like button, subscribe, share it to somebody that you think would engage with it well. Let's keep this discussion going just a little bit. Tell us in the comment section about maybe an internship that you would love to have, something you've heard of. And if you've had an internship, why don't you tell us about how it impacted your career? Thanks, guys. See you next time.